Saturday Floss Tube. Hello crafty friends, how's everybody doing today? Welcome back. My name is Caroline and this is a floss tube slash knitting catch up, end of September catch up. Before I begin, just a word of thought and care to those of you who were in the path directly affected by the hurricane. Such terrible photos coming through. We've been, watching the news, and just to let you know, we're all thinking of you. Hope that you're safe, and dealing with the aftermath is just unimaginable. A massive thank you to those electrical linemen and arborists who are traveling from out of other states, as well as all across Canada. Canada is sending, all the provinces are sending crews down to help. And I know that, it's a really challenging, difficult situation. The conditions are not ideal, and it's very difficult, challenging work, I can only imagine. So, yeah, been thinking about that a lot. So, I did not get a video out last weekend, and I did not want to let September roll out of 2024 for me personally without doing a little wrap up of what I've been working on this month. These videos are just as much a record for me, for my future, to look back on what I accomplished and sort of what my plans were. And it's always fun to go back and look at what you've done and what you thought you were going to do, and really, it's just fun, isn't it? So I have been stitching. Life has thrown us a few curveballs throughout the last month or so, as it does for everyone, and so there hasn't been as much personal crafting time as I would have liked. Though really, is there ever enough? I don't know. I don't know that there's ever enough time for us to do the things that we love to do. So I worked on, let's see if I can count here quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cross stitch projects and two knitting projects, which were my socks, 2 different kinds of socks. So there probably were here and there. I know I did a couple of hours spread out over the month on a few other projects, but I'll save those until we move into October. September was all about the sampler. All about sampler September. So let's start there. I worked on my sampler September piece, which was September's Return by my friend Ellen of Maximum Cross Stitch. This was her original sampler for this year's collaboration with Evertote and Roxy Flasco, and it's such a charming pattern. I had a bit of a bumpy start. You may remember I really gave myself some fits. I started down in the bottom left corner, which is my favorite place to always start my pieces, and I made so many errors, and I had to rip out and restitch a lot. And so, that can be a little bit deflating, but I didn't just set it aside. I did make the corrections right away so that it wouldn't languish forever, because for me, these pieces are memory makers for me. I've worked really hard on these collaborations with my friends, and they're really meaningful to me, and so I want them finished and on my wall. My last year's September piece, it's literally, let me turn the camera so you can see it. Right there. It's right across the room. Right across the room. I look at it every day, and I love looking at it. And out there, right there, where's my finger? Right there. Those two pieces right there, those are the first two holiday countdowns. So again, these pieces are really meaningful to me. I love to look at them and remember, you know, the time that we had. So I mustn't let it languish. I really need to make sure I put a concerted effort into finishing it. The same with my birthday stitch along, the Weeds and Wildflowers that we collaborated with the Artsy Housewife. Again, another piece that it's special, and I want to have it finished and on my wall. So here's where I'm at. I definitely have a little more progress since the last time I shared it with you. I have completely finished these two fields. Now the fields are, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the majority of the work in this piece. So once you know, the bottom of it really is where the meat and potatoes of the design are. So if I can make my way through those fields, then the top half of this sampler is really easy. The houses are so sweet, and you know, the alphabet and the birds, what's not to like, right? I am trying to complete the border as I go so that I won't be leaving all of that to the end. I'm stitching mine on a 40 count Panettone by Roxy Flasco with the called for flosses. So I finished the red peppers and the zucchini. Those are done. I started my apple field because I had some leftover red from my peppers, and so I went ahead and stitched a few apples, and then I started filling in my hills. Outlining my hills, and I think that's what I'm going to complete. Hopefully by the end of September is going to be the outline of the entire bottom half of the piece. Because once you get going on those fields, they're not difficult because they're so repetitive. You know, it's actually really enjoyable stitching geometric repetitive shapes to make your little fruits and vegetables. It's quite fun. What else? There was something else I was going to say about this, and now it's gone. No, it's gone. Maybe I'll remember later, maybe I won't. The thread pack for this, really, really beautiful, vibrant fall colors. It's a really happy palette. So, we are already working on, we already know what next year's Sampler September is going to be. And I'm not going to tell you anything about it other than the fact that the color palette is entirely different. That's all you get. And it's beautiful. And there's only going to be one. There will only be one design next year from the collaboration that we do. Sampler September through Evertote, Roxy Flasco, Maximum Cross Stitch, and Timber Yarns. So speaking of Timber Yarns, let me show you my socks, where I'm at. I'm still on the legs, but I have both socks going at the same time. Where's my other one? Here it is. So, as you know, these stripes, Heather of Timber Yarns dyes them based on the color palettes of the cross stitch design that Ellen designs. So this is the sock, this is the yarn that matches September's return. And I'm doing there was also a 30-gram midi that came with the set. So this is the official Sampler Stripe Timber 2024 self-striping sock yarn from Timber Yarns. And this is where I'm at. So just this morning, I started my next color after that deep dark green, forest green in there. See, I started that rust right there. Look at those colors. Oh, it's just fall in a sock. A couple episodes ago, I talked about how this is my first day of school sock, and it is still absolutely giving me those back to school vibes. Oh, we are finally getting past the worst of the humidity. Fingers crossed end of September, moving into October. We can always, you know, have another warm spell, heat wave going into October, but the chances, the likelihood is getting less, and for that I am grateful, because I'm sorry, but I'm done. I'm done. I've never been a fan of humidity, heat and humidity, but I find myself now in my 50th year becoming less and less enamored with heat and humidity. So if it could stop now, that would be greatly appreciated. So anyways, there you go. There is my sampler striped timber sock, just a plain vanilla sock. I use the super simple sock pattern by my friend Louise Patterson of Wildflower Wool. I know I repeat myself every week, but every week, every video, I have new friends who I meet new friends. So this is for the new friends. I have a knitting tutorial playlist on this channel. You can find it over in the playlist section, and it runs you through learning how to knit right from the get-go all the way through socks. So if you've always wanted to learn how to knit socks, then feel free. They are free for what they are. I am not a knitting teacher, but I was a piano teacher, so I think sometimes teaching, you know, teaching is a skill. Anyways, blathering on again. My other sock. The other colorway, which is related to the Agnes Kerr chart, which was Ellen's reproduction sampler for this year. I've been seeing some amazing stitching and finishes on Instagram. I have been watching and, you know, sharing when I can people's stitching for sampler throughout the month for sampler September, and Agnes Kerr is really people stitching. You know, the cover model can just never compare to actual stitching, and let me tell you, just the beautiful photos that people are sharing on Instagram has just been wonderful. Agnes Kerr, and this lovely, always going to be my favorite for the little Wendy's girl. I know she's not a Wendy's girl, but in my head that's what she is. Always going to be a favorite. So the floss pack for this, again, translated into yarn and was a little of a different feel because we had these teals in there and that bright orange. So Heather, of course, nailed the colors in the yarn. And here's my sock so far. Now I am knitting a patterned sock with this one, and I'm loving it. I love this pattern. I can't believe it's taken me this long to try different pattern socks. I know I did the heel toe do-si-do last year, but that was for me, that was a challenging pattern. I struggled because of how I knit when I get a bee in my bonnet and I'll knit for 2 nights and then it'll sit for 2 nights. And then when I pick it back up again, you have to remind yourself what the pattern is. Heel toe do-si-do, I struggled with memorizing the pattern. Not that it was hard, I just struggled a bit. This one is super, super easy. This is the Mahogany Run pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. And can you see, look at the little holes, the little lace, the little ribbing down the sock. Look at how fun this is. I love this. I am gonna love these socks so much. So this colorway is called Agnes. And again, Timber Yarns, Agnes. It is a, what's the base? I don't even have a yarn tag with me. I think it's 80/20. It's typical sock yarn with nylon in it, superwash with nylon. And the one thing I really like about Heather's sock yarn is that it's a little bit plump. You know how you can get a sock yarn that feels quite thin and you can get some that are plump? I like both, but I find I prefer a thinner fingering weight for things like fingering weight shawls or cowls or things like that. But when I do socks, I love the slightly plumper sock yarn. Patton's Croy is also always to me feels a little bit more on the heavier side of things. And I mean, it's not much of a difference, is it? They're both 4-ply. It's just one of them has a little bit more oomph to it than the other. And I find that Heather's is that little bit of a plumper feel. So let's see if I can stretch this out a little bit and show you the patterning in there. Let's see. Here we go. You're getting a there. Oh, it's so pretty. This fun pop of orange down in there. Love it. So I have had almost zero. In fact, I have had zero. I haven't knit or stitched anything in 5 or 6 days. So I'm feeling a little out of sorts. So tomorrow is Sunday. I have the day off. You will find me at home in my pajamas, knitting, stitching. I have promised Nicholas we can watch a show together that he's been wanting to watch together for ages. And then it's going to be football evening. His favorite team, the Ravens, are playing. They're playing tomorrow night, right? Pretty sure. I don't know, it's football. I love football season, and I'm not a football fan. I by osmosis, but it is absolutely perfect crafting television because I'm hanging out with my family, and I don't have to have my glasses on to see the television, because that's how I have to craft. I have to take my glasses off to see what I'm doing. And I'm telling you, it is my favorite. It also reminds me, there's a little bit of nostalgia in there from my childhood and my father always having hockey, football, sports on the television, you know, when he was home from work. And so there's that kind of nice childhood feeling there as well. So I love football season. So I'm happy that it's on tomorrow. And I am going to drink all the coffee, but not past 3 o'clock, because that's another new thing in my life. Caffeine used to not bother me one bit. I could drink it all day long, cups and cups and cups. I know it's not good. I know it wasn't good for me, so this is probably a good thing. But now, and it didn't used to affect my sleep, but it's affecting my sleep big time now. That, or it's just also those 50 plus wonderful female things at 3 a.m. in the morning when you're wide awake, ready to go. Or 1 a.m. Take your pick, 1 a.m., 3 a.m., one or the other. So I have, in a desperate attempt to try and help myself, I have really, really cut back on the caffeine. I'm drinking a lot more water. These, I swear, I know, these are ridiculous. These Stanley humongous things, they're ridiculous. They are literally ridiculous, but I'm telling you, I've never drank so much water in my whole life. Sarah and I bought these off Amazon, different lids that you can get for them so they're spill proof, and I know mine's not the right color and I just don't care. But they make them so that you can close the thing and not have it fall over in your car and leak all over the place. I'm not a huge fan of plain water, so what I've started doing, and also an attempt to break a years-long cereal Diet Coke, Coke Zero habit, I've started buying limes and lemons by the bag. President's Choice, no name, no frills. You can get bags of perfectly imperfect fruit and vegetables that are just like, you know, there's maybe there's a few blemishes on them. They maybe don't last as long, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, and they're very inexpensive. Well, comparatively, because let's face it, grocery prices these days, I mean, we could have a whole other YouTube video about that, couldn't we now? But less expensive than, you know, unblemished fruit. So buy them by the bag. And I bought myself a cheap metal zester, and I bought 2, and I keep one here at work, and of course we have one at home. And slice that lime in half, squeeze it up, stick it in, because these massive things are 40 ounces, right? Half a lime in there, lots of ice. I'm a happy camper. I don't really miss I don't, well, sometimes I miss the Diet Coke, but I'm definitely drinking a lot less, and I'm definitely drinking a lot less coffee. So, yay me. Healthy habits. Healthy habits. I'm also trying to walk more, walk the dog more. I mean, she has to be walked, but you know, making sure that I get out and actually do it, because we have very sedentary habits, hobbies and habits. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'd like my muscles to still work in 10 years. Oh, I do love sock knitting. I love sock knitting so much. I'm so excited about tomorrow. I can't even tell you how excited I am. Well, I just did, didn't I? All right, let's show you my other stitching. Okay, so the next 3 pieces, I did also do some work. Oh, that reminds me. I did have something to tell you. I did a little bit more on Frauke Siemens Voss, the Modern Folk Embroidery Sampler. It's right here, so I might as well show you. Not a lot, not enough to write home about, but it's so pretty. It's so delicate and pretty. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? Oh, I love it so much, so much. This is a 40 count porcelain Roxy Flosco linen with the called for flosses from Jacob. And I just love this so much. Starting that made my week when I started that. It's so fun. But I wanted to tell you about the pattern because I spoke with Jacob. I asked him a couple of questions about the chart because they looked wrong to me and I wanted to make sure they were right. And so I thought you might have the same wonderings. And so I thought I would just point them out that actually they are correct. So when you see these oddball things, and in fact, he does mention this in his blurb on the inside, but I thought he was talking about something else, though how I could mistake flowers in the border for something else, who knows? That's a Caroline thing. So you're gonna notice that on the cover, some of these little rosebuds, you think they should all be red because you're looking at the chart and it's overwhelmingly red, 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 but they're not all the same color. These ones down here are stitched with the same color as this flower. And that is correct. So the chart is correct. This is not a mistake. This is how, and the chart inside is correct as well. The other really strange thing are these 2 top corners in the border. You see that? See that weird little, it looks like a total mistake, doesn't it? And then on the other side, see that? And I checked with Jacob and he said, nope, Frauke was an odd duck. So those are accurate. In case you were wondering, just like I was wondering, I checked with the boss and the boss said they were correct. So again, I maybe spent one morning, a really pleasurable, enjoyable, not even, maybe an hour, it was an hour, but it was really fun. I can't wait to get back to that one. So the next 3 were all new starts in the month of September. So the first one was Winter Sampler by Yas of Yasmin's Made with Love. I mean, how could I not? It's small, it's charming, and Yasmin, you know, she's just great. I love her charts. They're really colorful and fun. So I started at the top, believe it or not, which for me is very unusual, but the top is very green. So I tend to do this. I start with the things that are, I don't know, I feel like I save the best bits, not the best bits because the whole thing is good, but I save my favorite parts for the end. It's like eating, I always did this as a kid. You'd have your plate of food and you'd divide it up into all the parts, and then you'd eat the stuff that it was like worst to best, right? Save the tastiest, your favorite for the very last so that your final mouthful, what's your favorite bit of food? So I tend to do the same thing with my stitching. So I started at the, but no, that's a fib, isn't it? Because I really do love left corner starts. I don't know what to tell you. I'm an enigma wrapped in a riddle. I started at the top, and there you go. So it's not very wide, as you can tell. That's the side. So I'm gonna have lots of lovely fabric left over. This is a 28 count panettone linen, and the called for Roxy Floss colors. Oops, now it's upside down. On there, and where's my flosses? Love. Did you notice I wore my favorite sweater today? This sweater I wore in my very, 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 very first floss tube on this channel way back in 2017. I will never get rid of this sweater. It will have to fall off me, just like certain members of my family and their underwear. They have to like dissolve into microscopic, like there's more holes than underwear, and they still won't throw them out. However, my sweater doesn't have any holes in it, and it's my absolute favorite color. Putting this sweater on feels like giving myself a hug. So why would I get rid of it? I love wearing it. It immediately brightens my mood. It's comfortable, and it feels like the weekend to me. So I wear it because I love it. But yes, I was wearing it in my very first video way back in 2017. So, true story. So that's the Winter Sampler by Yaz. And one that I started closer to the beginning of the month was Sarah Watson by Whilst Iris Naps. And there's where I'm at. So I got a little bit more progress on this. I finished Sarah's name and the year and her age and the funny squiggly border that she's got underneath it. I loved stitching that bottom floral motif and crown. That was really fun. And the floral motif is duplicated on this side too, so that's going to be fun. This is a 28 count biscuit by Roxy Floss, and this is a Floss Boss Hannah floss conversion to Roxy Floss. Yeah. Don't you just love everything about it? Like the feel of the fabric and the sound of the thread, and 2 strands versus 1 strand. Doesn't matter. I love it all. Just love it all. And it has been a tough week. I really tried. Just yesterday I got a bit desperate, so I did put in half a length of floss into my I had my maximum cross stitch Gwyneth's bouquet kicking around, and so I just snuck in a few stitches on that yesterday just to take a breath, and it felt really good. So tomorrow, come tomorrow, it's gonna be stitching all day. Okay, now the last thing I have to share with you, and I'm so excited that I've brought this piece back out because it's joyful to me, and my kids love it. Even though they're older now, they love it, and one day maybe they'll have kids and their kids will come to our house around the holidays and we'll put this out and they'll like it too. So this is Frosty Forest by Country Cottage Needleworks, and I started Snow Girl's Cottage. I left the chart at home. I don't have the chart here at work to show you, so you're gonna have to use your imagination. There's a beautiful, sweet little cottage that should go right there. So here you can see I made a really good start last weekend, and this was really the last time I really stitched. and I had a lot of fun. I got all that snow at the bottom finished, and I'm just ready to start building my house. See that? I even started the frame around the door. Little tree. Got my fence done. There's a little mistake in my fence. One of my fence posts is 1 square too short. You can see I've got 3 short ones on one side and 2 on the other. I'm not fixing that. That's gonna stay the way it is. Still looks like a fence. But look at how good it looks. Seriously. I see it all the time, but that looks really good, doesn't it? Because you look at something so close for so long, and to actually step back and see it from a distance. Oh, I just love it. So I'm so glad this one's come out again. So I only have a few more new starts planned for this year. So if I want another new start, then I have to finish this first, or something else. I have to finish something first. So speaking of new starts, it's almost October. So October 1st and November 1st will bring my next 2 new starts. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, I totally fell off the wagon writing anything down in my planner for September. Look at September, completely empty. So, womp womp. That's okay. I'm gonna go back in and write some memories for things that happened and when I started my new starts, because I do remember when that happens. So I have to do that the next day, otherwise I'll just forget. But this is the Cross Stitchers planner that was put out by my friend Lori Sykes of My Crazy Life Lori. Planners are back. In the States, Lori has them available in her Etsy shop. Here at Evertote, we are carrying them. They've come across the border. I have to go and pick them up early next week, and we'll have them at the Stitch North at the end of October. I brought in the stickers this year as well, so I'm looking forward to getting mine started again as well. I am going to utilize more Lori's section for whips and new starts and things next year. So big plans, but I have to go back in and fill in September. But October 1st, I will be starting Artsy Housewife October Blooms. And then November 1st is when I am hosting a stitch along for Hannah Attwater 1832 from Mama Loves You GB. Michelle from Mama Loves You GB. And I should also just, I've mentioned it before in various places, so just to make sure that I get it mentioned here, there is a Facebook group that I started where you can join us for the Hannah Attwater SAL. I will leave a link to that in the drop down box below. I have 0 editing time today to add in notes on the pieces that I've talked about today. If you have questions about anything that I've talked about or anything that's on the wall that you want to see, normally I always get asked about this one. This is a carriage house sampling design called Matter's Choice. These are the queens from Ellen, Maximum Cross Stitch, Catherine, Anne, and Elizabeth. And then back there, behind my head, is the Moonshine Cabin by Modern Folk Embroidery. Also, I sometimes get asked about the cow. That is Quaint Rose Needlearts, Rejoice Evermore. Fabulous design. Modern Folk Embroidery, Maximum Cross Stitch, Modern Folk Embroidery. So, oh, and Modern Folk Embroidery, Love Gains. Black Sampler November is also coming around the bend. Hint, hint. So yes, there is a SAL. I will leave a link to that Facebook group down below if you want to join us. There is a Roxy Floss Co. floss conversion for Michelle's chart. It is charted for DMC. You can stitch it with whatever supplies you want to join in the stitch along. This is, you know, everybody join in. Whoever wants to join in can join in. And we start November 1st. There we go. Are we crooked? I had to change the battery for the last few minutes here. There we go. Okay, so that's it for crafting things to share with you for today. Just a little bit of personal stuff. My little family, John, Nicholas, Sarah, and her boyfriend Vinny, all successfully ran the Montreal Marathon last weekend, and they just, boy, they just knocked it out of the park. John was first. He's ran marathons before, and he's trained before, and he, you know, it was hard. It was very difficult for him, but he did come in first. And Nicholas was maybe 5-10 minutes after him. And for a 16-year-old young man running his very first marathon, what an accomplishment. My daughter Sarah and her boyfriend Vinny, they are very young, very busy. They met at their job. They met at work. They have very busy jobs. They didn't have enough time to really train properly for this race. So about maybe 6 weeks ago, they decided that they were just going to do the half marathon. And maybe a month ago, a little sooner than that, they decided they were just going to run the half marathon and take some of the pressure off. Well, I had a funny feeling, and I know my daughter very well, that I just had a feeling that while she was running it, she was going to change her mind and decide to do the whole thing while she was doing it. And I was right. So I think this is a really good experience for her boyfriend, Vinny, to learn about my daughter, that she never is one to back down from a challenge. And when she feels challenged, she will pretty much move heaven and earth to make it happen. She is one of the most stubborn and determined young women I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. And I am almost unbearably proud of her. But yes, they both completed as well. They finished the race. They finished the marathon within the time. There's a deadline for the marathon time frame that you must complete the marathon within, and they did it. They did it, and wow. I am not going to share their photo here. I don't have any of their permission to share the photo, and but just, you can, I'm sure, hear it in my voice how proud I am. It was a wonderful moment for all of them. What an achievement. Just incredible. So also on the Roxy front, she is still very much 100% John's dog. Don't see that changing anytime soon, no matter how many treats I give her, or, you know, though I may try, wish, and hope, the heart wants what the heart wants. And her heart belongs to John. Fortunately, he's very much a soft touch and is also very fond of her. I'll put in a photo here of the state of affairs last night during television watching. This is an every night occurrence. They snuggle at nighttime on the couch before bed, and she's just very fond of him. So, womp womp. Oh well, we have a lovely dog. So I'm grateful for that. I know, and many of you have suggested getting a second dog. I would love to get a second dog, but with the way our lives are right now, dogs are a lot of work and money. They're very expensive, and at the moment, we're just going to, we just have to be cognizant of how much time we have, how busy we are, and it's just not. And Roxy's a lot. She has a lot. She's not only is she young, she's only 3. We haven't had this young of a dog in a long time. Her breed, she's part Hound, Rottweiler, and German short-haired pointer. And walking her is we find every single rabbit, squirrel, skunk, you name it. We know where it is in that neighborhood. And because of her energy, she's about 60 pounds. If you don't have a firm grip, she is going to take you for a ride down your neighbor's front lawn quicker than you can blink. So she is a going concern. So adding a second unknown into the mix, because that's the thing with dogs. You don't really know what you're going to get, especially if you rescue or adopt. You are bringing in potentially a lot of work. And, you know, I think we really need to be careful before we add more of that into our lives currently. We're trying to be mature about it. Well, John's being mature. I don't know. I'm lucky that he is, you know, making me simmer down a little bit. So anyways, I better go. I've still got some work to finish up here at the workshop before I go home today. And yeah, that's it. Happy end of September. We will not be shipping anything. The next time I see you, it will be October, and we'll be well into fall. I love October. It's got to be one of my favorite months of the whole entire year. So I cannot wait. This season, fall. I love fall. I love winter. Summer, see ya. Done with ya. Done with ya. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Take care. Be safe. And we'll see you in October. Happy stitching, everyone.